people in America in 1900 faced exactly the same problems that we did today. What are our problems today? We've got this crazy polarization. So did they. We've got this unbelievable level of inequality. So did they. We've got this great social isolation that is basically the theme of this podcast. Yeah. So did they. And we're very self-centered. We're very narcissistic. And so were they. And therefore, but they got out of it. Because if you look at the whole period of the 20th to 21st centuries, the last 125 years, what you see is the first half of that period, roughly speaking from 1910 to roughly speaking 1965, roughly speaking, things were going in a good direction. America was becoming steadily more cooperative politically. There was a lot of conversation across party and cooperation across party lines. Indeed, most major reforms of that period were passed by majorities of both parties. The New Deal was passed by majorities of both Democrats and Republicans. The Great Society, Lyndon Johnson's, was passed, the majority of it, by both parties together. Ronald Reagan's deals, the Reaganomics, was passed by, well, not quite a majority of Democrats, but it was passed by definitely bipartisan majorities. It wasn't just Republicans. It wasn't just far right. It was the Democrats, too. America, when I was in high school, was tied with Sweden as the most equal country in the world. Think about it. It's hard. We are used to America being, having a huge gap between rich and poor. But when I was in high school, the gap between rich and poor in America, in capitalist America, was about the same as the gap between rich and poor in socialist Sweden, and both of them were way ahead of anybody else. We're no longer there. What I'm trying to say was the first half of the 20th century, roughly speaking, 1910 to 1960, 65, we were moving in the right direction. Less polarization, less inequality, less social isolation, less me. And that's why I think we need to look at the period in American history which is most like the one we're in now, deep polarization, deep inequality, deep self-centeredness, deep social isolation. I don't know if I've mentioned all four of them, but they got out of it. Yeah. And that means we could too.